Hey guys, it's John Smith. Today I want to talk about detecting pass the ticket on an endpoint. So we have a customer that's going to do a purple team exercise and they're going to do some ticket passing with Rubeus. So I want to talk a little bit first about how that goes. Basically, you listen for tickets on one workstation. You collect them in almost every instance, even in Windows 10, with the endpoints running on them. In some cases, the endpoint uses a service account that is elevated. Inevitably, there's a hash that's got elevated privileges on a lot of these workstations. So what Rubeus does is it listens, and as those systems access or as they log on, as those service accounts connect, that kind of stuff, those tickets are basically extracted off the box, and they could be made readily available to use on other systems. So what we've got here is, if you look, let me bring up my, here is the ticket that I was able to grab off of my Rubeus host, right? So if you want to see what that looks like, it's on this edge test box. So here we were listening, right? And if I scroll up, you'll see there was actually originally 4 tickets. Scroll down here, found new TGT, right? So we're looking, and it basically sits there. So the original ticket cache size was 4. Then I launched an administrative web shell, which then gave me a ticket cache size of 5. And you see here, this ticket belongs to the administrator. I then put this ticket inside of Sublime. I remove the carriage returns and the spaces, and I get this nice little base 64 encoded ticket that I could use to move laterally throughout an enterprise. So if I do that here on my on this Windows 10 box here, right? Here I've got the ticket. I'm going to hit enter, live demo, so hopefully this works. Okay, ticket successfully imported. So now I've basically taken that administrative account of administrator. If I type, who am I? You'll see that I am Jay Smith. Jay Smith is not an administrator. So I've got this ticket that belongs to an elevated account. Now the ticket was generated on my MS Edge little 90-day demo Windows 10 workstation. But now I'm going to reuse that ticket across the enterprise wherever I want. And now I can move laterally, even though my creds here say Jay Smith. So a little bit about how you detect this. It's a very manual process, right? First thing you do, now this posh script doesn't work on Windows 10, at least not on my image, but you basically get a list of users. Like here you see this user Michael for this particular Kerberos ID. But when he looks at that Kerberos ID, he sees that actually it's not Michael, it's Gene Parmesan, right? And I want to thank this guy, what's his name, Jeff Warren. These guys at StealthBits, they're really smart. So detecting it is a manual process, but let's talk about what this would look like using RevealX and using WireData. So let's have a look at the trigger that we're using. First off, what's going to happen is that the initial connection is going to connect to this KRB TGT server principal name. When that happens, 2 things. It's going to connect via a TGS rep, right? A ticket granting service. So this is a ticket granting service response. The key here is that there's no initial login, right? So there's no, every single proper Kerberos login, there will be an ASREC coupled with an ASREP. And then as they use that ticket that they've gotten, there will be a TGS rec coupled with a TGS rep. So on the response, if I see an account accessing this server principal name via TGS rep, we do something similar. So rather than logging on to the individual box and running a set of scripts, which is very time consuming, and it's an effective workflow, and I agree it's the best way to do it when you don't have WireData. But remember, ExtraHop tracks every single transaction, right? And now with the remote response capability, we can actually query our own API. So if you look here, to do this, you need to create the ExtraHop API. You create an API key, and then you create the ExtraHop open data stream. And this will allow us to look back in the ExtraHop appliance to see if anything else has happened, right? That ability to look back is going to make our detections very, very effective. So here, I'm actually going to look back, and if you look at the payload here, you'll see I'm actually looking, okay, was there an ASREC or an ASREP in the last day? So in the last 24 hours, you can go in the last 48 hours, you can go in the last, you can go in the last 7 days. Has this account actually logged into the system? So we've observed someone using an administrative ticket, right? We're observing someone using the domain admin ticket. So the next question is, has that actual account logged into this workstation? So that's what we're looking for, right? And to do that with manually, you have to run a special PowerShell script. You've got to do a lot of gymnastics to see that. But here we're going to do it in about 30 seconds. This is revolutionary in terms of how you track these past the ticket attacks, I'm sorry. So let's go ahead and let's abuse this. So we've got our ticket. We've successfully imported it. And so now, even though I'm Jay Smith, can I query the C drive on the domain controller, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I believe I have that in here already. Yep, there it is. So I'm going to connect to my domain controller. And even though I'm only Jay Smith, I'm actually able to list that full domain controller. Likewise, if you look here, right, if I try that here, okay, I've got the same admin creds on this guy here. Sorry, I'm using that ticket, so it's working. I believe I actually launched that as an admin shell. But typically, I wouldn't be able to do that with this Jay Smith account. Let me see if I can come here. I'll run this command prompt. So this is just a regular command prompt. Yeah, access is denied. But on this prompt, I've actually got that administrative shell. I've got this administrative ticket that I've imported. And then if we look at our trigger, right? So what have we done? Well, I'm asserting that we've had a pass the ticket attack here, right? So you see in the logs. So on the remote response, I'm actually querying this total, right? If that total equals 0, meaning there has not been an ASREP or an ASREC for this host, for this Kerberos client principal name on this host, basically, why is this system using the administrative Kerberos ticket when the administrator has never logged on to the system, right? All of us were under 21. All of us, at least I did, used a fake ID. We have busted them using a fake ID here. So this is basically doing a pass the ticket detection in obviously in less than a few hours, which is amazing, right? Like I said, detecting these attacks, these pass the ticket attacks, using conventional tools, using logs, literally takes at a minimum probably 35 minutes, right? Because you got to go through, you got to see if there's a user on there, you've got to maybe download a PowerShell script. Here within 30 seconds, and it only takes 30 seconds because it takes the time to paint this. An API solution might be quite a bit faster, but the important thing to realize is that we're basically able to query our own transactions. So we've been watching all of the transactions of that 192.168.1.40. So we know everyone who's logged onto this box. We know every time someone's changed a password on this system. So then when we see the administrative account accessing that KRB TGT using a TGS rep, then we basically just do a quick check. Hey, I see you using this ticket. Did you actually ever log into this box? And if they haven't, then we've definitely got the ability, or we can definitely assert that there's been a ticket passing event happening. And of course, my detections aren't the prettiest, but if you look here, basically, you can see here that we have an orphan TGS rec/rep, right? The ID is administrator observed on this particular IP address. This can be very, very valuable. I'm working on getting the participants. It's a little bit tougher to do with the on the remote response, but we'll get those in there. Anyway, again, this is John. Remember, you need to create the extra hop ODS so that you can query your own API, and we're querying the record API here. But this is a orders of magnitude easier way to search for ticket passing and pass the ticket attacks. Thanks a lot, guys.